For today's video, we are going to do a request video. James Moss 3424 wanted to see the first appearance of Cyborg. And thusly, we shall do just that! Well, it's technically not his first cartoon appearance, but it basically is, so that's gonna be pretty good. We'll talk about the rest of that stuff later there. Yeah, so alright, let's go!
Yeah! So, we start off in Metropolis, where two friends, Nicholas and Cyborg, notice a giant metallic spider destroying a building. You know, if you were in any other city, that might freak you out, but to see that in Metropolis, you know, that's kind of par for the course. So much so that it is actually Lex Luthor driving this metallic arachnid. So Cyborg, you know, having the heroic heart that he does, leaps Nicholas and himself to safety, which is right next to the building that's being attacked, and now they're basically in the line of danger. You know, like, I like your instincts there, Cyborg, you know, but the planning part of it could use some work. Considering you were further away from the danger beforehand, but you know, rookie mistakes, right? Luckily, the Superpowers team arrives with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Firestorm. And the super trio are actually kind of having a bit of a hard time dealing with Lex Luthor, you know, and his spider with its kryptonite webbing and stuff like that. So Cyborg figures that, you know, well, it's up to him to save the day now. So he latches onto this robo-spider, using his cybernetic half to interface with the spider's computer and shuts the thing down, where it falls from a great height and, you know, realistically ends Lex Luthor. But, you know, thank goodness we're using cartoon physics. But Lex is fine and dandy, and Cyborg has put him under citizen's arrest. And like, holy crap, man, doing all that stuff, he didn't even break a cybernetic sweat. So Superman and I are like really impressed by this guy. In fact, Superman asks Cyborg to join the Superpowers team, but Cyborg says nay, and he takes off. I don't get it, man. That seemed pretty cool. Like, is this guy just playing hard to get or what? Elsewhere, all over the planet Earth, boom tubes from the planet Apocalypse open up, and some horrible-looking, cute, fuzzy monsters plop onto our planet. They have these crazy-looking seed things, and they plant them all over our planet's surface, which is kind of random. Well, you know, not actually, because this is the plan of Darkseid's science lackey, Darkseid. And these seeds of doom will, do something bad to our planet? At some point. So I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see what's going down. But in the meantime, be concerned. Later. So Firestorm splits into his two halves, so Professor Stein can give Ronnie, and well, us in the audience, a quick little lowdown on Cyborg. So it turns out his real name is Victor Stone, and he was a tremendous student athlete in multiple sports. He could have gone pro in any league that he chose, basically. But then, unfortunately, he got into a horrible accident. Not sure exactly what, but like horrible, like, you know, how the hell did he survive horrible, you know? But thankfully, his father is a cybernetics genius and was able to save Victor, but, you know, it kind of wound up with him turning Victor into a teenage RoboCop, basically. Well, a teenage Inspector Gadget? Something in between those two, but still, you know, Cyborg. But with this cybernetic appearance, man, like, Victor didn't want any of that, and he doesn't want the spotlight that comes with it. So he turned away from all of it, and he just wants to help out his buddies at the amputee center downtown. But Ronnie, you know, thinks Cyborg is pretty cool, and he's a teenager himself, you know, like Victor. So he tries to convince Cyborg to reconsider joining the Superpowers team. But again, Cyborg says nay. He just wants to live a normal life. You know, being a normal kid that can kind of fly and talk to computers. But Darkseid's son, Kalibak, appears on a construction site to plant this last seed of doom. So Firestorm teams up with himself to stop Kalibak, but to no avail. So Cyborg, yet again, you know, nonchalantly figures, damn it, I gotta save the day again. Which he does. But also, unfortunately, Cyborg's cybernetics somehow activate this seed and it starts to grow at an expedited rate. It's turning into a little shop of horrors. It just keeps growing and growing. But, thankfully Firestorm called Superman so he can rip this thing out of the planet and let it die in the vacuum of space. Later, at the Hall of Justice, we meet up with the other Superpowers members, Hawkman, Aquaman, Robin, and Samurai, where they all hear Batman concluding that there must be thousands of these doom seeds all across the planet. And, well, right on cue, Darkseid speed dials the Superpowers to confirm this hypothesis. And not only that, but to inform the team that these seeds will destroy the Earth's crust, turning it into a second planet apocalypse. Unless, if they were so inclined, if the Superpowers team, just happened to swear allegiance to Darkseid, then maybe, just maybe, Darkseid could tell the team where the whereabouts of these seeds are, and stop the destruction of their planet. Which is quite the predicament. Well, okay, not really, but still, right? Drama. Of course the Superpowers team are not gonna go with that plan, so they work towards a plan of attack. One team will go to Apocalypse to steal the computer data where every single seed is planted. Although that doesn't sound right. You think they would just kind of plant them randomly? Well, no, I guess they are kind of triggered by cybernetics, so you could find where they are. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And Team B will stay back on planet Earth, drinking some hot chocolate, have a good time, and stop these plants in case something goes wrong with them. So they need someone to infiltrate the computers, hey? Who could that possibly be? And, damn it, even though Cyborg stated multiple times that he has no interest in joining the team, he gets recruited to leave the planet Earth on a mission to the most dangerous planet in another dimension, Apocalypse. And so he, Firestorm, and Wonder Woman fly to Apocalypse. So seeing as Darkseid still is deeply in love with Wonder Woman and he can't seem to let it go, she agrees to have some coffee with the guy and distract him while Firestorm and Cyborg look for the computer room, and, well, they actually find it pretty quick. They transmit the information of the whereabouts of these doom seeds on Earth quickly to Batman, basically as easily as Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith can transmit a virus to the computers, of an alien mothership. So as the two teenage buds are leaving the planet, they fall into a room full of doom seeds, where they also get attacked by Darkseid and his Omega beams. But Cyborg, he likes poetic justice. He finds the specific frequency to set off all these seeds, and boom! All these weed seeds on Apocalypse start growing like crazy, while at the same time, the Superpowers team, except for Robin, are removing all the seeds off of planet Earth so we can see in real time how the tables have turned. So the day is saved! Hooray! So Cyborg, seeing how valuable he can be to the team, and, also seeing that he made enemies with the most dangerous interdimensional planet known, he decides to join the Superpowers team! Yeah! And with that is the end of this series, Robot's Tale.
Yes, eh? Another fantastic episode! And yeah, for the Super Frien / Superpower show, a great episode like this, totally on par. Whenever this series does introduce a brand new character, it usually is a pretty awesome episode. They do the new character right! And in this case, that new character being Cyborg. So, myself being a Teen Titans fan, especially with the newer crop, I am also, by extension, obviously, a Cyborg fan. So it is always awesome to see a character you like, for the first time in cartoons. And for Cyborg in this one, hey, it's done a little different. Usually usually when a new hero gets their powers, by whatever ridiculous means that they got their powers from, they are instantly in the fight against crime, instantly risking their lives for this, that, or whatever reason. All very noble and stuff, right? But how realistic is that? What would you do if you had superpowers just bestowed upon you out of the blue? For me, well, I guess it depends on what those superpowers would be, right? If I was invulnerable and super strong, I'd probably have no problem jumping headfirst into something. But if I wasn't that superpowered and I still had the risk of dying, I'm not sure if I would, really, So with that in mind, it is pretty awesome to see a more realistic kind of reaction from Cyborg. He has all this cybernetic powers bestowed upon him, even though he never wanted that stuff. He was totally happy with his life, right? He was an athlete, he was kicking butt, he had a social life. Life was good for this guy. And then, boom, horrible accident. Boom, you're a cyborg. Holy crap, that is totally heavy, that might be too much for some people to handle. So for Cyborg to be you know what, man, I don't want all these powers. I never wanted them. I just want to live a normal life. Holy jeez, eh? But also, his powers are so fantastic that it's kind of basically fate saying, yeah, you're gonna join the superpowers team, and which he did. I think he just kind of needed a bunch of time to kind of process what happened to him, Or maybe not, because even throughout most of the episode, he was really unimpressed with a whole lot of things. He met Superman and the Superpowers team, and they were impressed with him, and they wanted him to join their team. And Cyborg's nah, that's good, man. I'm gonna go get a burrito, He flew into space, which, not many humans in the history of the planet have done. And, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. He even went to another dimension, which only a handful of people have ever done. And still, whatever. None of that impressed him. Holy crap, who does he think he is? Shania Twain? Most people would give anything for just one of those encounters, So yes, indeed, if you haven't seen this episode, I suggest you do so, because it's awesome. And with that, we do have some more behind-the-scenes kind of things, talking about Cyborg and Super Friends and, this and that. So yeah, let's get into that stuff right over here.
So yes, hey, another day, another new incarnation of the Super Friends TV show. So the previous, I guess technically, series was called Super Friends, the legendary superpowers show, which happened in 1984. So for the revamp for this season, technically series, they just went straight up superpowers, calling it the Superpowers Team Galactic Guardians, which still had some continuity from the older shows, like Darkseid being in love with Wonder Woman, and stuff like that. So yes indeed, hey, Cyborg! Let us take a looky-loo at to how this character came to be. So Cyborg was created by legendary writer Marv Wolfman and legendary artist George Perez. While Wolfman was taking quite a bit of a time perfecting the backstory and the characteristics of this character, Perez was tasked with developing the look for the guy. And he did have a couple of pretty cool inspirations. One, for the whole body shape and the whole body movement and all that kind of stuff, was based upon Cleveland Browns fullback, Jim Brown. Quite an athletic guy, obviously, being a professional athlete, so Cyborg being a athlete himself, this all makes perfect sense. For the cybernetic portion of Cyborg, he was inspired by Marvel Comics character Deathlock. And as you see the two, yeah, sure, there's, quite a bit of inspiration. But Perez figured, for a difference of the two, he should make Cyborg look a lot more metallic and technically robotic. And so, he did! Although, quick little fun fact, the character Deathlock was somewhat based upon the TV character, the $6 Million Man. So Cyborg's all around, hey? And having this character as a cyborg, makes a whole lot of sense during the time, it was the computer age, and you did see a lot more of computer stuff being integrated with humans in other movies or TV shows, like I say, the $6 Million Man, also in Superman 3, with that horrifying scene, which I still say was an awesome movie, and of course with the Borg from Star Trek. Cybernetics, you know, the stuff's pretty awesome. So you put all of that stuff together and boom! Cyborg makes his first appearance in DC Comics Presents number 26 in 1980. And that issue also introduced some other new characters for the new lineup of the Teen Titans, Starfire and Raven. But you know, with those quick little introductions, we didn't really know a whole heaping amount about these newer characters. So DC Comics decided to let us all know in the miniseries Tales of the New Teen Titans, which came out in 1982. And for issue number 1, it was all about Cyborg. So we do learn all about his background, yeah. And for the most part, for this featured episode, yep, they pretty much got his background there pretty much bang on. They did leave out a bunch of information though. So, Cyborg's real name is, as we've learned, Victor Stone. So he is the son of 2 geniuses. His father, Silas Stone, scientist, and his mother, Eleanor Stone, also scientist. They both did work at Star Labs. So being the child of a couple of geniuses, you know, Victor Stone himself is a genius-level character. Although, a lot of his genius did come from the fact that Victor's parents did use Victor in experiments, you know, for boosting one's intelligence. So I'm sure he's pretty smart to begin with, you know, but to be smarter than smart, that's pretty smart. But he didn't want to follow in his parents' footsteps. He wanted to be an athlete. You can make a lot more money in pro sports after all, you know, so that's kind of smart too, in its own way. And he started to resent his parents, so there was kind of quite the rift. You know, joining a gang and stuff like that. Until one day, tragedy. Eleanor and Silas created a dimensional transmitter, and it managed to bring some alien spores into Earth, which unfortunately killed Eleanor and severely damaged Victor. So in a desperate attempt to save his son, Silas had no choice but to use cybernetics, seeing as most of Victor's body was destroyed. So it did take Cyborg quite a bit of time to learn how to kind of control his new body, all the mechanics of it and all that kind of stuff, around half a year or so. And he did also have to deal with the fact that he's a cyborg, and a lot of people don't really understand that and how they treated him after, you know? But indeed, that is the skinny on the creation of Cyborg the character. So when I told you before that this appearance was technically not Cyborg's first cartoon appearance, that's technically a correct statement, and a little confusing, so let me explain. So as we all know, there is a show called the Super Friends that had many different incarnations throughout the years, but still pretty much stayed true to itself, and it was a really popular show. And well, you know, for TV, if you have a popular show, you might as well make a popular spin-off show, which is exactly what Hanna-Barbera wanted to do. So in the comic book realm, the New Teen Titans were actually a very popular comic book. If you think during the 80s, you know, like the biggest comic title probably was Uncanny X-Men. Well, I guess more specifically for a team. But the New Teen Titans, you know, they were not that far behind the X-Men. Sales were through the roof. So Hanna-Barbera figured, you know, if we're gonna do a spin-off show, like crap, let's do a spin-off show on the Teen Titans. But unfortunately, even though they did put a lot of work into developing the show, no network actually wanted to pick it up. So that is kind of sad because that could have actually been really awesome. But for Hanna-Barbera, they were like, man, we did all this work, like we should do something with it. So they teamed up with the Keebler Cookie Company to create a 60-second PSA commercial teaching kids to say no to drugs. And this commercial first popped up in 1983. So that would be the first cartoon appearance of not only Cyborg, but of the entire New Teen Titans, except for Robin because he got replaced by a new character called Protector. But, you know, you still had Raven, Starfire, Cyborg, and some of the older team members like Wonder Girl and Kid Flash, so a pretty cool cartoon. So even though we did not see a Teen Titans cartoon going forward, we did get Cyborg joining the Superpowers team, so that's kind of a win. And also, Robin is on the Superpowers team, so you have 2 of the Teen Titans, you know, in cartoon form at that time, so that's, kind of a quarter of a win, you know? And the other thing that was a win for me is that Cyborg was voiced by Ernie Hudson, where my favorite role of his would be Winston Zeddemore from the Ghostbusters. So my Ghostbuster loving heart is pretty happy with this. And with that, you know, like Cyborg being such a popular character, you would see him multiple times hither and thither, sometimes really goofy, sometimes really hardcore, and sometimes not with the Teen Titans. He would eventually join the Justice League in the 2011 reboot of the title, and has been there ever since. But you know, for the most kind of points of the character, that's pretty much the long and skinny of it. His creation, his first dive into the cartoon world, and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much all I got with him. So yeah, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel, and some links at the end of the video. Yeah! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, you know, feel free to do so. Or anything else, you know, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, you know, have a great day. Thanks.